Soldiers marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe. Forward into battle, see his banners go. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Oh, for a faith that will not shrink, though pressed by every foe, that will not tremble on the brink of any earthly woe, that will not murmur or complain beneath a chastening rod, but in the hour of grief or pain will lean upon its God. A faith that shines more bright and clear when tempest rage without, that when in danger knows no fear, in darkness feels no doubt. Lord, give us such a faith as this, and then whate'er may come, we'll taste and hear the hallowed bliss of an eternal home. A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fit it for the sky, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my powers engage to do my Master's will. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and O thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give. Help me to watch and pray, and on thyself rely, assured if I my trust betray, I shall forever die. Rise up, O man of God, have done with lesser things, give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Rise up, O man of God, his kingdom tarries long. Bring in the day of brotherhood and end the night of wrong. Rise up, O man of God, the church for you doth wait, her strength unequal to her task. Rise up and make her great. Lift high the cross of Christ, tread where his feet have trod, as brothers of the Son of Man, rise up, O men of God.
Good evening! Hi. We are awaiting CJ as he slacks off, and no one knows exactly where he is at. No one does. So now we're all left wondering what happened to poor CJ. So, good evening, Sam! Well, actually, good morning, Sam. Yeah, good morning, Sam. Have I seen you somewhere? Maybe just a little, or a brother of yours? A twin. This will be Young Brothers edition, brought to you by the Young Brothers, but currently it's only a brother because CJ is missing in action. We lost him some time ago, and no one's exactly sure where he's at. Oh,
Hello.
bummer.
Bummer what?
Yay, I found it.
You going clean on Facebook? What's that mean, Sam?
What exactly do you mean by that, Sam?
Are you gonna get off Facebook for a while?
Boom. Yeah, it might be I'm going clean off Facebook. And then Sam will have to watch this from YouTube. Because Facebook gives him a lot of grief. Facebook does not like Sam.
No,
Do you have a songbook?
yep.
Ooh, he's prepared.
I'm gonna have to wait though.
340.
Hold on, I'm sending it to my usual places.
I already sent it to the reader's chat group. Because someone was slacking. So don't double send it.
Okay.
Otherwise, reader chat group gets a little frustrated. I've seen it happen. And then, you put the video up, and I did, and they removed yours. Remember?
You took care of the readers chat group?
The messenger at least. I didn't do anything with the page.
Okay.
Well, right, Sam. I specified that. I said it should be Young Brothers, but at the moment it was Young Brother. No S. But now we're back to Young Brothers edition because our lost brother decided to return.
Well, why
Without
would...
headphones.
No,
Excuse you.
no, I couldn't find it in time.
Sam says, "Are you guys going to quit Facebook?"
Why would we, Sam?
Why? Facebook does not give us any issues.
What do you know that we don't?
You're the one that says I'm going clean off Facebook.
You been having a good day, Sam?
Oh, yeah. It was more humid than should be allowed, but
Mm-hmm.
so yesterday we get to the job site and we start working, shoveling sand out of the way, and then I look. Sam says I knew nothing. I look across the way. Now, while we were driving there to where we're headed, we just drove through heavy downpour rain. Like, as heavy as rain gets up here in Iowa, that was heavy. You could not see through the windshield of the truck. Heavy rain. And we drove out of it, got 3 miles down the road into where we're working. And we just get there and start shoveling, and all of a sudden you can hear all the leaves on the other side of the lake start shaking. And you look up at the water, and it goes from being wavy, starts on the other side, and it starts becoming drop, splashes. And it works its way, and all of a sudden, wham, we get downpoured on. So we run up into the shelter underneath the deck, and we're like, oh, that might put an end to today's job. And we film a video for the guy, hey, got rained out. And then it stops. Okay. Well, it didn't rain too long. Maybe we can continue working. So
Did it rain again?
we got in there. We dug a good bit in about 15 minutes. And then we look up, and the first rain had came from the south. We look to the east. There you hear all the leaves start to ripple again from the east side of the lake. It's white. You look up, and all you can see is a white wall heading towards you. That's how heavy this rain is falling. It is all white. You cannot see through this rain. All of a sudden, wow! We're like, well, we're done. We're done.
Yep. Wow.
And so with all that rain, the sun comes out today and brings it all back out and cooks us. Humidity, 98%. Basically, we were cooked.
I wish this would be perfect if I had something to flip on the front of my computer. You know what? I do.
Yeah.
I should have brought it. Couple more minutes without me. I'm going inside the.
All right. Bye. Young Brother Edition. Yeah. You look like you about to slap the camera off. I give him a lot of grief. Angie! She says, hello, everyone. CJ, you are in the dark. Are you hiding? Well, I think he is, because you popped in, he just disappeared. So I'm going to conclude that CJ is hiding. How are you doing, Sister Angie? And so we were heavily rained upon yesterday. With all the rain and today's sunshine, it was humid. Angie says, LOL. I gave my life for for thee. My precious blood I shed, that thou mightst ransom me, and quickened from the dead. I gave my life for thee. What hast thou given for me? My Father's house of light, my glory circled throne, I left for earthly night, for wandering sad and lone. I left it all for thee, as thou left aught for me. I left it all for thee, as thou left aught for me. And I have brought to thee, down from my home above, salvation full and free, my pardon and my love. I bring rich gifts to thee. What hast thou brought for me? I bring rich gifts to thee. What hast thou brought for me? We get the word done plastered sideways across our face. Done. Done.
What?
That's what it says. Done. But sideways. Click. Click. It's misty.
Is that better?
What?
Is that better?
What was the problem?
My lighting wasn't very good.
Yeah, you look good as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yes,
You got up and left just as she came in, so we concluded that you are in fact hiding.
yes.
And she left. Not left, she laughed. And she greets Sam, and Sam likes that song. Remember, y'all, if you got any Bible questions, topics, or song requests, feel free to shoot them out there.
Yes. I'm done running amok. Sorry.
Have you ran through enough muck yet?
What?
I got squishy ice cubes. I said, have you run through enough muck?
No.
Do you know what muck is?
Yeah, mud.
No.
What?
Muck around here, especially, is very wet mud, or more specifically, very wet cow manure. or chicken manure. That's generally what we call muck. You have to muck out the chicken house. So it's generally cow or chicken manure around here. And in a few places you use very wet mud. But not as much.
210. Walking alone.
So you're just like, well, that's the most worthless piece of information I've learned today.
Yep. Now I know what cow poop's called. I couldn't have lived without that vital piece of information.
Well, remember, it is pretty random out here.
Walking alone at evening.
And viewing the skies afar, believing I has come to welcome each silver star. I have a great delight in the wonderful scenes above. God in His power and might is showing His truth and love. Oh, for a home with God, a place His courts to rest, sure and safe abode with Jesus at last. Rest for a weary soul, once redeemed by the Savior's love. Where I'll be pure and whole, and live with my God above. Sitting alone at eve and dreaming the hours away, watching the shadows falling now at the close of day. God in His mercy comes with His word He is drawing near, spreading His love and truth around me everywhere. Oh, for a home with God, a place in His courts to rest, sure and a safe abode with Jesus and the blood. Rest for a weary soul, once redeemed by the Savior's love. Where I'll be pure and whole, and live with my God above. Closing my eyes at thinking of heaven's grace, longing to see my Lord, yes, meeting Him face to face, trusting Him as my all, wheresoever my footsteps roam, pleading with Him to guide me unto the Spirit's home. Oh, for a home with God, grace His courts to rest, sure and safe with Jesus and the blood. Rest for a weary soul, once redeemed by the Savior's love, where I'll be pure and whole, and live with my God. It's been a while since I sang that song. And you could probably tell.
Yeah. Carol once followed me. My mom just told me where the lighter was so I can actually get these candles lit, but I don't want to leave again.
Then I would be brotherless again. Just a brother. Carol wants to follow me. And good evening to you, Carol.
Yes, good evening. Now I'll know where the light is for next time.
Hmm. Follow me, 529 in my book.
No, 564.
Don't get over yourself.
Oh, careful yourself.
What number did I say?
It should have been 564, but I don't know what number
I
you
think I said 559.
it, it was wrong.
Oh, 529?
Well,
Alright.
whatever it was wrong.
It is 107 in Carl's book.
Did y'all have a good day today? Where is everybody?
Just kind of chilling, you know. Valina's resting her head. No, her children are out of the house, and her son is away, so she has the house to herself, and she's taking advantage of
Ah,
it.
I noticed you didn't share the live stream for me to chat with, did you?
What? What?
You didn't share the reading to the reader's chat group.
I wasn't the one that made up the reading.
Oh,
I did it, but Ezra's the one that made it and was in charge of tagging. So take it up with the tech department. CJ wasn't here to straighten anything out.
nope.
Oh man, it's been such a long time since I sang this one.
I traveled down a lonely road and no one seemed to care. The burden on my weary back had bowed me to despair. I often complained to Jesus how frustrating me. And then
And
I
I
heard
heard him say so tenderly,
my people
"How
so
weary
on
on the Calvary road, thy cross became so heavy, I fell beneath alone. Be there for me, pilgrim, the morning I can see. Just lift your cross and follow close to me.
Follow me, Sam.
It's
Let's
follow me.
over there.
How accurate was I on the chorus? There.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna call that the chorus. The exciting part.
I'm good.
Okay.
I was about to say that, well, there is no chorus in this.
I know.
I work so hard for Jesus, I often boast and say, I've sacrificed a lot of things to watch the narrow way. I gave up fame and fortune, I'm worth a lot to thee. And then I heard him gently say to me, I
upon a cross. But now we'll make the journey with your hand safe in mine. So lift your cross and follow close to me.
Oh Jesus, if I die upon a foreign field someday, for be no more than loving man, the less good I repay. No greater love has mortal man than for a friend to die. These are the words
He gently
that
spoke
to
to
me.
If just a cup of water I place within your hand, then just a cup of water is all that I demand. But if my destiny be, they can thy glory see. I'll take my cross and follow close to thee.
74.
How did we do, Carol? Did we totally butcher it, or was it worth listening to? It's been a long time since I sang this song.
Yeah, me too.
What was it again?
74.
Abide with me fast, falls leave and time.
Probably gives us a good time gift.
It was probably hearts or something. I don't have my phone here with me right now to see, so I'll look.
Blame
Yep,
it on
it
the
was a thumbs up thing. Well, excuse you. 77 or 74 or 70 what?
74.
74. See, I had one of them.
If you have any topics, song requests, same desire, please feel free to uh, get in on it. See, this is why I need the mosquito lights because number one, it gives me more light and it's firelight, and firelight is bright. And number two, mosquitoes are all over.
CJ will become a bug bitten ragdoll before too long.
Yeah.
Poofed. Nope, that's wrong.
Uh, do you want me to start?
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. When other
Push,
heaven
comfort, please. Help,
and
help,
hope of the
help with us.
above
With me.
swiftly
With you.
go and from the
Let's try so dear.
glories pass away. Change and decay in all I see. O thou who changes not, abide with me. I need thy presence every passing hour. What but thy grace can foil the tempter's power? Who like thyself, my guide has taken me through clouds and sunshine. Oh, abide with me. Fun Friday!
Hooray!
Reba is here. Good to see you. She fell asleep.
Good to see you, sister. Topic: evidence, substance, conviction, assurance on the God the Father.
Yep.
I cannot help but think of Paul's new song. The design indicates a designer. Without God, this could not exist. The things that are made are clearly seen. We are without excuse.
Well, for number one evidence of God, I always look at these two basic principles. When you look at a leaf or a feather, when you really examine them, they have a lot of detail. They have a lot of design in them. Each fiber, each feather, it's very unique. When you look at anything in the human body, anything in the animal kingdom, plant life, etc., so forth, you will notice it's very well designed. And the simple fact that where design is, there must be a designer, is one of the number one evidences for God. Where design is, there must be a designer.
Yep.
Second of all, when you blow up something, like drop a nuke on something, it doesn't explode and then reform into something beautifully and well organized that functions perfectly. It doesn't.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that on Tuesday night.
Angie's giving us some verses real quick, which we will look at in a moment or two. But that's the number one, I think, real evidence, logically speaking, that we can go on that there is a God. Because our existence demands a designer, a creator. We are too well put together to be an accident.
Yep.
The chance that this fully operational, mobile, thinking unit that we are operating works the way it does is 0 to none without someone to set it up.
Yep.
It cannot happen. Especially from an explosion. It always gets me, because if you look at those evolutionist textbooks, they're like 3.9 pounds of nothing suddenly flew at each other, exploded, and became something.
Like, where is logic? Like, when it comes to God, y'all, logic goes out the window. Like, literally, that's not how anything works. I give my example of my phone. My phone is made, and I don't just say, oh, look, I just made this phone out of nowhere. See something? No. Do you know how much coding it takes to open your phone screen?
Yes.
Uh, uh, I'm not talking about pressing a app yet. That's a lot of coding in and of itself. But just to swipe up,
Your phone has to recognize the touch, the temperature, the feel of the pressure, and then which way it's going.
yep, and somebody had to design that with code that tells it, okay, when this input, sorry, that doesn't make me look very good, that's creepy. When this input is pressed this way, uh, there's a chain of code that says, okay, you go up. It's basic programming that you learn in school, you know. When you have to program each line when this happens, when you press X, this goes flat.
And what does code need to exist?
A designer,
A coder.
Tony.
Who designs code? I mean, these things that are so well organized, they need an organizer. Someone to organize them. Organizer. They need an organizer. Sam says, very good. Where is the first place God loved us first? The Bible. I know the answer just to see if I can hear it. For God so loved the world.
Yeah, or there's John 3:16, or First John is probably the passage that he's thinking of. Not that we love God, but He first loved us.
Mm-hmm.
What
God loved us first.
was the Calvinists will say that means we don't love God. We hate God and we can't love God. But is that what John says? No, he's saying who initiated the relationship? God, by sending Jesus to die for us so that we can love him by keeping his commandments, right? John 14:15. And that is how we're his friends, John 15:14.
And when you look back to even the creation of man, God had to love and like the idea of having a free willed being to worship him enough to create one. He had to like that idea and love that idea. He loved the idea of making a man for him. He
Right.
loved us first before we even came into existence.
Yep.
And so,
So, alright, we got a couple passages. John 10:29.
thanks to our beloved Angie, John 10
Is
1.
there a specific question you want to hone in on here, sister?
I think she is providing references to Sam's question, from my understanding. He asked that question, and she immediately started tossing up all these references. So
No.
I think we might find her answers to these questions here. John 10:29. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand.
Ah,
Well,
this is
continue.
well, I don't want to get this in a place that she doesn't want this, but is it relating to Calvinism? A question? I just want you to ask the question before.
It matches the assurance factor for her. This is her answer to Sam's question.
I got it. Yep.
Assurance. God the Father is greater.
Right. Again, this is another one of those texts that is used to promote the idea of once saved, always saved. We can't leave the Father's hand, which the text doesn't say that. The sheep that hear and follow, John 10:27, no one is able to snatch them. The sheep that keep hearing and keep following, no one's able to take them away because they keep hearing and keep following. Uh,
Ephesians 4:6. And she gives for us one God and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in you all.
yep.
That kind of matches a lot of them. Substance of God, conviction of God, assurance of God, and evidence.
Yep. There's one God. And it's just crazy to me that you talk to people and you say, okay, is there one God? Yes, absolutely. One Jesus? Yes. One body? I don't know. One church? Absolutely not, CJ. Well, of course there's one church. And there's one God, there's one Jesus, there's one body, yes. There's one church, yes. One. God's favorite number. God's cell phone number. By the way, I want y'all to be in prayer for me because I got invited by a false teacher to come in and discuss with him 6:30 Central. So that would be 7:30 Eastern.
What you discussing?
What?
What you discussing?
I think probably a bunch of different topics.
That's frustrating.
Baptism. It's not going to be a formal debate. Probably baptism. I mean, that's what I'm known for. I can discuss other topics like faith alone, but I mean, I have the evidence.
Oh yeah. And going on with your one rampage, it's like, no, we gotta remember, God is not the author of confusion, right?
No.
CJ knows that reference. Probably.
1 Corinthians 14, I believe.
Me, I could have narrowed it down to something Paul said, but where is that?
Toward the end of the chapter there.
1 Corinthians what?
14.
14. And going on with that idea, being that God is not the author of confusion, is he going to provide 1,000 ways to get to heaven?
Well, 40 does it, but it's keep going up, keep going up, 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 up. Hey,
Ding. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints.
so if you take that passage and you say, okay, 50 plus denominations are authorized teaching all different things, it doesn't matter,
Contradicting each other.
right? Contradicting things, they can't agree. Well, that's the definition of confusion. And you know that God didn't authorize that.
They're,
God didn't author that. Go ahead.
they're by no means organized or united.
No.
So, a God who does not create confusion or use confusion, it does not come from him. He wouldn't provide, 1,000 different ways which contradict each other to get to heaven.
Yep.
It's just not happening. He has one way.
Yep. One.
One path.
Yep. My God, who is able to create the universe in an orderly fashion, can certainly preserve His word and make one-way salvation. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it really stretched to go from creation, which that's where we started? See how I circled that around there? Creation, which declares God's glory. It is in order. We have water cycles, and we have relationships between the animals, the food chain. I mean, it's all in order, in harmony.
Each
And
one plays with each other.
God can do that, but He can't organize His church. We can't know the truth.
I was going to go a little bigger. God knows the exact location of every star, planet, asteroid in the universe. And He keeps them all exactly where He wants them.
Yeah.
But He can't organize a simple way to get man to heaven.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, people, these things require a little bit of logic and thought just to reach a proper conclusion. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, sorry.
There, I'm done.
When we consider the way of salvation, it's like this compared to what God's already done. It's like this. Can God not take care of that? I mean, or is it one path, in many ways, one destination, and faithful on the Baptist writer, the Pentecostal writer? God is not the author of confusion. The devil is. The devil is.
Sam says in Genesis, the first place God loved, He created us and gave us His image. And also He loved us so much He made us a living being in Genesis 2:7, and that we can return to Him the Spirit. Ecclesiastes 12. He says God wanted us to return to Him in spirit. That is amazing.
Is there the passage that says God created because God loved us? I know it's logic, but is there a passage that says that?
I don't think there's one that actually comes out and just says it. But for God to put so much time and effort. Another thing is, look at the effort that God put into making man as opposed to making the earth. All right. In the beginning was heaven. How does that one go? I can't think of it right off the top of my head right yet. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. All right. So that's how God created heaven and the earth. And everything we see here, He speaks. And then God said, let there be light. He just speaks. No effort. Not at all. No time. Just speak it into existence. Everything. But then we get to man here in verse 7 of chapter 2. And God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils and the breath of life, and man became a living being. God put effort, time, and a lot of thought into how he made man. Of everything else God made, he just spoke it into existence. Man, he says, no, we're going to take a different approach to that one. You notice?
Well, I might disagree with that because making the sun is, yes, God spoke it, but God spoke it and formed it. He had to form the sun as a bulb gas. You know, the trees. Yeah, yes, God just spoke it and it happened. But when God spoke it, it had to form.
God just had to picture how he wanted it, and that's how it came out. But with man, we see that he actually formed it. It almost casts the idea that God himself grabbed the dirt with his hands and built it. God formed it, ran his hands over it like a potter's lump of clay. But with the Son, he just spoke it. He pictured what he wanted and he put it there. He didn't have to grab a cluster of gas and then. He didn't. He just spoke it and it was there. That's what it says. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Boom, done. There was nothing else there. God saw the light. It was good. He divided it.
You, you know what's interesting there in Genesis? God made the light, and then,
In day 4, he made the sun.
yeah,
I love that one.
sun, moon, and stars.
It's fun because light predates the sun itself. He made the elements of light before he made anything to make light. Isn't that funny? But we see there, let there be firmament. And he commands everything to happen. It's just his voice and his thought. It happens the way he tells it to happen. God called the firmament heaven. He named it. Boom, done. Let there be waters. He commands what he wants where to be. It doesn't really sound like he has any actual contact with anything. As it's all, he just tells it to do this, tells it to do that, tells it to do this. And it does. It obeys him. But when we get to man, we have a little bit of difference in God's technique.
Right.
Formed man of the dust of the ground. Now we're told what exactly he made man out of. We aren't told what God made the sun out of from Genesis. We know that it's a ball of gas. But where did he get the gas? Well, he just made it.
Well, so right there you said he made the gas to make the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So
And how do you make the gas?
he just made it.
He spoke it into
And
existence.
again, the idea that God didn't work as hard for the universe as he did for man, I think is just, I don't know. I would never say God didn't work hard days 1 through 5 because I cannot just speak a dream to exist. I mean, that takes power. Just as much power as it does to form man from the dust.
How do you know? If you can't make a tree and you can't make a man, you can't determine how much power it takes. And a person who holds God, holding all power, done.
How do you measure the power of God?
Right. We can't. All we know is it's unlimited.
So you can't really say this took less power than that, right? Could have taken the same amount of power, just done it in a different way.
We see with the technique and the time, CJ. God
Well,
actually took time to form man, as it says in Genesis. Everything else happened in an instant. Boom, bang, let there be light. Boom, it's there.
so how do you make something, O'Shea?
How do you make something? Are you talking how God makes it or how we do it? There's difference.
Just in general, how do you make something?
We have to take something, like say a chunk of wood, and apply a knife to it, and work it down into whatever we want it to look like. A little statue, a figurine of a lion. It takes time and effort.
So God fashioned the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1. Right? God fashioned the heavens and the earth.
Where?
Created, made.
No,
In the beginning, God created, God made.
you can't use those two together. They're two very different things.
Go to different translations then, right?
Nope. No. To create means to bring something into existence from nothing. To make means
Not
to use.
necessarily.
Yes. That is how it is translated. We cannot create a thing. Creating means something new out of something new. We cannot create a thing. We did not create the phone. We made the phone. We made it using other materials. We cannot create things. Only God has the ability to create.
I am fearfully and wonderfully made, right?
Look at that. Look at that. Now think. Look at chapter 2, verse 7. What do we see? God formed man of the dust of the ground. What did he use? He made man out of what he had already created. We are made.
Right.
As David says, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Man was not created, he was made.
Oh, I don't see a distinction there.
I have
mean,
been told by many people that there is a distinction between the words created and made.
well, look at the word there in Genesis 1.
Alrighty.
God created.
God created the heaven. Click. Did I click the wrong thing? Boop, 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 boop.
To create,
Absolutely to create.
to cut down, to feed,
uh,
as a formative process.
cut down, dispatch, do, make, fact. That's strong, and only strong gives us, right? To create, to shape, to form,
Form.
fashion, create, heaven, earth,
So
man.
God fashioned, God
Right.
shaped, God formed. Remember, because verse 2 says the earth was formless.
Without form.
And God gave it form. So he fashioned just like the sculptor. Yes, he spoke it, but the word there is he formed it. He fashioned it. He created it.
God created the world, and it was without form, without with anything. And then he proceeded to form the world. How did he form the world? He used the thing that he created and made it into something. I know it seems like I'm splitting hairs, but I have been informed that this is a very important distinction that must
Well,
be made.
there's no distinction if the word is literally formed in Genesis 1:1. Right? That's what the word is. It's literally God formed the heavens and the earth. Created, formed,
To
shape,
create, shape,
shape, form. To
right.
shape,
So which one of those is the most fitting? Reba gets what I'm saying.
create means to shape and to form.
But remember, not every definition of a word applies to the tenses used.
So
Remember,
what? So creating something includes forming it, does it not?
it can mean to form.
But
It
how
is
do
a
you
possibility.
see? How do you justify this creation as no formation when
I
the
didn't.
earth
When
was
God creates something, he brings it into existence from nothingness, and he can form it in any way he wants to. He created it in that way he wanted it.
right?
Right. But the distinction is creation means you don't take anything else. Nothing becomes something in creation. When you make something, you take something and make it into something else. That is the distinction. Creation has no original source. When he formed the earth, he took it out of nothingness and made it and created it in the way he wanted it.
If the potter creates the clay, does that mean he didn't have the clay to begin with?
Potters do not create clay.
I think that's the language used in Romans 9. Or maybe it's formed.
They use fashioned.
Well, that's the same word as create.
Eh,
Yes, it is. It's literally the definition that you read out for us.
No.
Yes,
When
it
you
is.
fashion something, what are you doing?
You're creating something. You're forming it.
If I
Forming.
take a spoon of mashed potatoes and I lick half of it, I just fashioned it into half of a spoon of mashed potatoes. I just fashioned it. Fashion means to change shape. When you fashion something, you change its shape. Like with our clothing, that's called fashion because you take something that's flat and you fashion it into something that's 3D. That's why it's called fashion. You just took something that was flat and made it into something 3D. You fashioned it into a different shape. And that's what the potter does with clay. He takes a lump of clay that God gave him, that God created the clay, and the potter makes it and fashions it into something else. My point wasn't that God spent less, it took less power of God to make the universe. That's not my point. As far as I'm concerned, it was all equal. Knowing God, it didn't take any power, really. As far as we looking at it, we're like, wow. God's like, that was like nothing. It's like what happens when the tiny guy punches the big tough guy. What was that? Did you just poke me? In comparisons, when you look at it, my point was we are given a more in-depth form of God, of man, than we are of anything else. The way God had Moses write it out, God created the heaven and the earth. God created light. He spoke these things into existence.
But
And why does he change tactic with man? He doesn't just speak man. I want him to be 6 foot tall, 2 inches wide.
right,
He doesn't, and God spoke man into existence. No. We have a more artistic approach to man. God fashioned, God formed, He made man out of the dust of the ground and gave it life.
right.
He put more attention into man than He did anything else. And I can prove that because man is God's crown jewel of creation. Isn't there a verse that says that?
I don't know.
David said something along that line.
But if God just spoke it and there was no fashioning and forming going on, why did it take a little 24 hours to do that? If it was just done just like that, that wouldn't have taken 24 hours, wouldn't it?
Now, if he sits back and waits for the rest of the time, and then day 2,
Well,
God
that's
calls.
not what it says God did.
Well, look at this. God called the light that He just made and the darkness that He separated. He calls it day and night, and evening and the morning were the first day. He did that. Boom. Called it these things, and then evening and morning were the first day. Then He continues on the next day. God builds the firmament, says, "Let there be the firmament and the waters." And God made the firmament and divided the waters, which were
Wait a
above. And it
minute.
was so.
Wait. I thought God just spoke. Hebrews 7 says that God made the firmament and He divided. So, what is it? Did He just create it or did He make it?
We're never told God created the firmament.
No.
He made it out of the earth. He just divided the earth blob that He had and made the firmament.
No, you can't change it.
I didn't change anything. God created the earth like He wanted the earth. Then He took the earth and made different parts of it with it.
Genesis 1, 2 through 31 is describing 1 1. Describing how God created the earth.
No.
Genesis 1 1 is a summary statement of what is going on in this whole chapter. 1 7 is a part of what God did, creating. So in His creation of the heavens and the earth, part of it was making the firmament in verse 7.
Alright, so let's walk through this. We're given our main characters, as you would say in the TV show. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. This introduces us to 3 things: time in the beginning, heaven, and earth.
Yeah.
And it goes on to describe the earth. Here we are, picking up with the start of God's actions. Time starts now. The earth is without form. It gives us a little bit of description of what's going on. It's deep, face of the deep, and it's covered in water. So now we have a blob of earth that's covered in water.
But wait a minute. he's starting to repeat himself because he's already said it's done. But why is he backing up? He backs up in verse 2.
No, he's describing the earth.
He's describing how God made the earth. How
No,
God, literally, yes.
he says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And, moving on, in conjunction, the earth was without form. He's describing the earth. Not what God did to the earth, he's describing it. What it looks like.
Yes.
We're stepping onto the plate at the understanding that there is a heaven and there's an earth.
Yes.
Description terms. And, concluding, the earth was without form and void and darkness. He's just telling us what the earth is when God made it. This is what it is, he says.
Wait a minute. Wait. What did you just say?
I'm using the generic human term, made.
Well,
I've already explained to you the difference.
This whole thing was you took issue with me using the word made, and you just used it. And you made the distinction that God created everything, days 1 through 5, right? And he made something on day 6. But verse 7 says he made the firmament, right? And that was on the earth.
You interrupted me.
Sorry.
I used the word made because that is habits. In a world where we as humans cannot create things, we just use the word made. You understand already from previous texts that he created. We're working upon this unless I use it with special emphasis. If I use the word made, it's because in scenarios like this, I'm used to the mindset of making things. Okay? Can you forgive me in my lack of descriptiveness when I let my normal habits slip?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
We already established the two facts. Angie, you have a good night. Thank you. I am enjoying this. This is fun as far as I'm concerned. It's a blast.
Yeah, I just don't see the difference. I mean, to say that God didn't make anything until he made man is...
I didn't state that.
Well, okay, God. I mean, I'm genuinely confused. Created... You just said created and making are two very different things.
Right.
Created 1 through 5.
I
God
didn't.
made on day 6, right?
What? I need to re-explain that to me.
You're saying that day 1 through 5, God created things on the earth.
I didn't state that. You took my definitions and made it apply to the verses. I never said that man was the first thing that God made. I said all of a sudden we see a change in technique. I'm using general principles when I said God spoke. Because you skim through it. Look, God spoke this. God spoke this. Let there be this. God's speaking. He's not... It doesn't place him as actually physically touching and doing. It doesn't put him in the same action. It puts him more as speaking.
Well, what about verse 7, when God made the firmament?
You didn't let me get there. You stopped me before I got there.
I'll just let you go.
So we're working upon verse 2 right now. And the earth was. We're working off the premises. He's not going back. He's just telling us what the earth is at the now present time of this statement. God created the heaven and the earth. That's in the past. And, oh, by the way, the earth is without form, he says. It's void, it's empty, it's dark. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And now we have depth, it's also deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And so from this we learn that God created the earth and the waters. That is the earth. It is a blob that has no shape, it's empty, it's deep, and it has water. That's what we're left with. God created the earth. This is the earth. Boom. And in conclusion with that fact, now that we just stated, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. What's he do? He takes the light and separates it, put a difference between light and darkness. And God called the light day, the darkness night, and evening and the morning were the first day. What was the first things that God created?
Light, and he formed it so that it was divided from light and darkness. He made it that way. Right?
I need you to restate that. Your train's blocking my ear.
Sorry. To make something is a fastener. Is the distinction being made that creation is just when God speaks and it happens, right?
Right.
But day one, God speaks and there was light, but then God had to do something else other than speaking, because in verse 4 he divided that light from darkness. So in that way God made light and darkness, right? Because it's more than just speaking what, yes, he spoke the light, verse 3, verse 4, he saw the light, and then made light and darkness. Right?
No.
Why not? Isn't that your distinction?
In verse 4, he didn't make light and darkness.
Okay, there was light, right?
God said, "Let there be light."
Yeah.
So, God brought light, from his voice. He stated it into existence.
Yeah.
Let there be light. And all of a sudden it was. Right.
What did God divine the light from darkness with his voice?
What?
Did God do verse 4 with his voice?
And God divided the light from the darkness. Yes.
The,
Let me ask you this. Can words cut?
yeah, the word of God cuts, but it doesn't say. Here's what God said, right?
Ah,
He said, "Let there be light." He saw the light, and then God divided the light. It doesn't say God said, "Let the light divide," or else it would have, because it's a perfect pattern to the rest of the account. We have God speaking everything, like the plants yielding seed. He spoke that after it's gone. Well, God's not speaking in verse 4. So you can't say he he's you can't say he is not forming what he just spoke into existence. Because the light was already there, right?
mm-hmm.
And he did. That means light and darkness were there, and God fashioned it so that it would divide there in verse 4.
Okay. So
So,
where's... problem?
Didn't the thing that you said was different in man was that he made the man. And,
I
and
said he
verse
fashions the man.
made, fashion,
Right, made and fashioned.
they're all synonyms.
They're very similar, and in modern English, they can be quite synonymic, whatever you want to have, however you want to say that word. But God divided the light from the darkness, right? That's what we're focusing on right here.
Yes.
How did he divide it?
Well, I mean, we don't know.
Okay.
It's disconnected to verse 3, though. God spoke the light there, he saw the light, and he divided it somehow.
And what do we pick up next with in 5? God talking again. God divided the light from the darkness. It doesn't. He could speak it he could speak it apart. He could will it apart. But we still don't see any hand-to-hand contact. God divided the light. We know words can cut. That's not a problem. You know, in Proverbs you see it all over, and their words are sharp as to an edge of a sword. You see it.
Right.
These words can cut. So we know from a scriptural fact that words can cut. And what does cutting things do?
Divide them.
Divides them, splits them into two different things.
But you can't say.
Don't see.
If you do not know whether or not God divided the light with his words or he did something else, then you cannot rightfully say that the only thing God fashioned is man. Right? If you don't know for sure, verse 4 was with his words, not fashioning the light and darkness apart. You can't say with authority the only thing God fashioned was man, right?
We see speaking here in 3. We see speaking in 5. We see seeing going on. But we still don't see fashioning. He separated two mixed things into two separated things. That's all we see going on there.
That's fashion.
How he divided it.
Fashion.
What?
You originally said he does more than speaking. That's making. He did more than speaking. No, that's not what you said.
That's not what I said. I said God created things by speaking, but that doesn't limit it only to speaking. God can create things willing, thinking, any way he wants to. He's an unlimited God. He can create it any way he chooses.
Right.
But he takes nothing to create something. That's the basic principle. God created the light. The darkness was already there.
Well, right.
Okay. So we have a created thing and something that was already there.
And God
Separated the two.
Well,
they were blurred together.
Well, what do you call that? When you're hands-on separating your creation, God made darkness and he made light out of what he created. Right? That's the definition of making. And we could keep going with this, but I just thought about this. Moses settles this in Deuteronomy. because he says in Deuteronomy, in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, did it take God 6 weeks to actually make heaven and earth? Or did he
6 days.
do them in steps, adding and making things to them?
Yeah, I guess I'm not understanding your point because in one sense you agree with me, and then I kind of repeat what you just said, and then you're like, no, I don't agree with you. So,
Because you add more restrictions and modifications to what you repeat I just said. You
yeah,
add different ones. I'm generic in most things unless I actually specify and
well,
specify.
that's what's hard. Like, I don't know what you're saying. You keep using God making, but then you said God, the only thing God fashioned. So is that the distinction I'm not catching you making and fashioned a different thing?
What? Someone
Are
just
you,
peeked in.
are you making the words on making and fashioned two different things?
To make and to fashion are the same thing, basically. But to fashion is to go the next step farther in a more artistic sense. When you fashion things, it's generally an artsy way with a lot of detail. That's how fashion is made. You know how long it takes to put gemstones onto pants? Can you picture that? How long it would take to put gemstones on pants? In fashion. And we gotta remember, fashion has different meanings and uses. He fashioned this. What's that mean? Well, he made it the way he wanted it, is about the best way. But in like fashion, what's that mean? In a similar way, he did this.
Right.
See, fashion, that's what makes English so hard, is they change meaning depending upon how they're used. As again, let me go back to this. My main point was this. God put more attention, he at least left a more descriptive way of how he made man than how he made anything else. How he created anything else. Both those are, he made and created different things, as you know.
No,
And what's
okay.
funny to consider is we're never told he stopped creating and making. And Dad likes to sit there and tinker around this idea with archaeologists. I don't know if he's ever told you this or not. But he likes to sit back and he thinks. Like, say, an archaeologist, he's out there in the desert and he's digging. All of a sudden, God creates or makes whatever. I don't care in that sense. Either or. He can do both. Makes a skeleton right there. And then the guy picks it up and dates it to, 6 million years old. And God's like, I made that 2 seconds ago. I don't know what your problem is. That's one of Dad's amusing thoughts. I made that 2 seconds ago, buddy. You misguessed that. But
So can
I'm
we?
still trying to put the emphasis on these 2 points. God made man with fashion, with time. We see in the way it's written that it was
Right.
took
Yeah.
effort.
And
And a lot of the other things, if not all of them, I was being generic when I said that. Because to my knowledge, as I read this, I see creating more than making. But now you have pointed that out to me right here. God moved these. He made the firmament move. He didn't create the firmament. He made it out of something he already created. But still, what are we left with? Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and then that's it. With man, we're told that he fashioned it. Fashion carries the idea of time and effort. And that is what I was trying to portray. It looks like, in the way of the descriptive terms, that God put more effort and time, in essence, more love, into making man. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten. Now, is that the world is in the earth, or the world is in man? We understand that to be man. God so made or loved the earth. God loved the man. And so we see that when I can't think of a verse where it tells us directly that God loved the ground and he loved the sun with, affection or
In
anything.
fact, he cursed the ground.
I mean, okay, see, you just pointed out you just proved my point. Curse the ground. But what my main point was, I didn't want a splitting hairs arguments and the descriptive go through of chapter 1. My main point was God put it describes it as more effort into making man, more love into making man than he did the earth. That was my point. And that's what they all got.
And I got that you were. I thought you were splitting hairs over. I mean, I just won't say that it took God more effort to make one thing over another. However, I do agree that we have more descriptions. I don't necessarily think that that measures effort.
Sam says, we the crown jewel. Sam, is there a verse that says that? I know people have said that, but is there a verse? That would help me out.
I don't think there is. I think I've looked. I mean, oh,
It sounds like something that David would say.
we're made in the image of God. Maybe that's where that comes from.
Perhaps. Dad says it says that God spoke the majority of this world into existence. However, with man, Genesis 2, notes that God fashioned him. And that's basically what I just got to say.
Right,
Majority.
but God also made the firmament.
Right, we said majority. He spoke the majority
Right.
exist. But still, it looks like there's more love when you look at it in how he made man. Everything else he did, let the firmament do this. He still told the firmament to move. He just told it to happen. He still told it to do that.
Would it have been less loving of God to say, okay, man, you tune rise, be made in my image? Well, of course not. I mean,
it sounds a bit more crude.
Yeah.
And crude is not love.
How God makes something doesn't measure his love. His love is really, it is shown in how he made us because we're fearfully and wonderfully made. First, Psalm 139. But it's really manifest. The love of God is not manifested in how he made man. It's manifested by sending Jesus. That's what 1 John says. Well, which part, Sam?
Look at this, CJ. Made him man to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under his feet. God put man as his crown jewel, the thing that he put the most effort into. The most beauty, the most attention to detail, so to speak. But still, I'm not trying to say that you took God more effort or not. Not actually, it was.
Yeah.
Not trying to say that. How was I going to put that? Anyways, my point was that man is more loved than anything else in God's eyes. That was my main point.
Well, you didn't say it that way.
I said like Dad says. He said, spoke the majority of things. God spoke that things into existence. And however, with man, he fashioned him. There's a
Right.
difference in the use and the sound of the words. And that's all I was trying to draw attention to.
Yeah.
Fashion carries more effort and time in it than speaking. It carries. Not that it exactly means it, but that's what it sounds like. When you fashion something, you put more oomph into it than throwing a brick at a wall.
Right.
Tender loving care, as we say. Tender loving care. So, anyways, I am done with that splitting hair argument.
Yeah, I think this was a good study.
That was a blast.
Wow, we have never done this.
Look at that. You made Young Brothers run way long.
I totally disagree with the main man has main relationship with him. He thought we were so special when man was lost in sin. What angel did he do that for? Where did he do this for? True, Sam, I don't disagree there. Why are we disagreeing? I mean, yes, to say that God manifests His love toward humankind by making humankind is just not what the Bible says. But manifestation, yes, God created man is a display of His love. But what is the display of love?
When he sends his son to die.
Bingo.
Right. And Reba, I've not been ignoring you. I've been reading every one of your comments. I just want to make sure you know that I have not been ignoring the comments. I have been reading every one of these. So, yes, God made the earth and everything to fit man, and with the idea of man in mind. He didn't make man to fit the earth.
Right.
He made the earth to fit the man. Perfect air conditioning. Air levels. Perfect gravity.
There is the point that God created man in His image, so in that sense, He is different.
Definitely. Sam, Dad says, the problem is, Sam, one tends to forget that God planned all of this prior to creating the whole creation.
Right.
God had a purpose and an idea behind everything He did in the Genesis account. And Sam's like, you said, God said God did not make anything on purpose to love. That's not what CJ said.
That's not. Now the creation is never stated to love God. It gives Him glory, yes, Psalm 19. it worships him, yes. So, Psalm 19, but it never says the creation loves God. We are created in His image, and since God is love, we love God. And so, in that sense, man is different. Man is, I guess you could say, special, but to say that he,
The only the main difference there is man is the only one that has the ability to choose whether to love God or not, to
right,
whether to worship God or not, whether to glorify God or not. The creation in its very existence has to.
did God love what he created? Well, I can say he just looked at it and said, it was very good. I don't know as it says that he loves the creation. Maybe there's a psalm that says that I'm not thinking of.
Oh, okay. It's just literally that's what it looks like when my train goes off the wheels. The difference is the creation has to, inevitably, all the time, worship God and prove His glory.
Right,
Man has the choice, well, on earth, but we know that in the end, man will glorify God and worship Him.
right.
Everyone, every knee shall bow.
Yeah, I'm not saying, Sam, that the earth has a choice in the matter. The earth is just made to do that. Technically, we are made to give God glory, but He gives us the choice. And the difference is we have a free will to choose a great, uh, to either go against His God will purpose or created purpose, or go with it, or created purpose. We were created to glorify Him and have dominion on the earth and live for Him.
Anyways, God, not God, excuse me. Dad will touch a lot more upon Genesis and all the cool, neat little tips and tricks and definitions you can get out of all of that when he does his study.
Yes, I think Nick, if I recall, is in like chapter 14 and 15, so he's getting there,
It's
Levi.
getting close. I've
He's
been,
getting there.
I've been keeping tabs on it every moment I can.
It is just beyond his own comprehension that he also created all the galaxies at the same time. He chose just one little dot to put us on. That's right.
That's totally mind blowing, your sister Reba. You hit that one on the head. It makes you just feel like jelly on the inside, doesn't it?
You know, and we only get one one planet, uh, one description of how he made one planet, Earth.
Mm-hmm.
We can only imagine how he made Jupiter, Mars. That's just summed up in one verse. He made the heavens and the earth.
And the
And I guess, no, that's not true. It would be summed up by God making the stars, right?
I was just headed to look at
Sorry, yeah. Wow, we're almost 2 hours in. We
that. I blame
never.
that.
I
I
can
can only.
only imagine what my eyes can see. Alright, what time is it? I can't even see my clock. Wow, it is almost 11:30. We need to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm. Lights in the firmament. Best lights in the sky
Yeah, lights in the sky.
of heaven. So, everything that's shiny and bright, lights. And why did he put them there? Let them be for signs, for seasons, for days and years. We calculate our calendar off of star positions, where we're at, how fast the Earth is rotating. We
I
use all of it. And that's why God put it all out there.
Genesis is so fascinating. I cannot wait.
I'm going to stop putting my shovel in Dad's dirt to dig up. And I'm going to say it's time we call this quits there, CJ.
What? It's only an hour and 51 minutes.
I haven't had coffee since I got home, so I don't feel like going any further.
Me neither. I was gonna call it. That was a good study.
That
Thank
was
you.
delicious.
That was meaty.
That was nitty gritty too on some edges.
Do you want to do one of your songs? I think it's your turn, or do you want me to?
I think it's time we just bow out. Say adieu, adieu, da 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 da.
Well, let's do Now the Day is Over, and then we'll be done. Now the day is over. Now
I
it is drawing on. Shadows of evening steal across the sky. Jesus give the wind. Come and give me home. With my tenderest dancing, may our eyelids close. When the morning comes, when may I arise? Your presence in thy holy arms.
Start your clothes off there.
Well, I want to remind everybody once again on Tuesday, coming up, it's rolling around this next week, Tuesday at 9:20 Eastern Time, we will be live for our first class. We're kind of going to do a repeat of this lesson, kind of. Lesson 1 of his eternal plan is called the foundations of Christianity. So, hope you'll join us. We'll cover some of those same things there. But thank you all. Love you all. And remember at CEM, we want to do 3 things. We want to glorify God, edify the saints, and answer any spiritual questions you might have. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you all for being here, for your input. I loved it, every moment of it, really. Thank you, Dad, for tuning in and helping unlong wind this as much as possible. Who knows how long CGI could have done that one. And, oh, by the way, CJ, to brief you in what Reba's talking about. Her daughter, Rebecca, was in the shower, fell, slipped, hit her head behind her ear.
Oh,
So, they're watching her. Just whatever you do, don't let her go to sleep for an hour or two after the incident. because they say that there's a chance that if you let the brain go to sleep after being conked like that, they say there's a chance it'll never kick back on. So, yeah. Anyways, Reba, we will keep her. I'll keep her in my prayers. I can say that for sure. Prayers for Rebecca. She seems to be okay, and that's good news. Y'all, till we meet again, thank you for being here. You all have a wonderful night. Sam, you have a wonderful day. Keep on trucking, brother. Till we meet
Amen.
again. Till we meet again. God bless you all. Love you. Bye-bye. That way, whether we wake tomorrow to serve God here, or we wake tomorrow to serve Him up there, you know where we'll be. We'll see you then.